All right, welcome to today's episode. Today, we're excited to welcome Ben Becker, the owner of BLB Design Build, over 12 years of experience in residential building and remodeling, mostly around Newburyport. Is that right?
Yeah,
North Shore?
Newburyport, yeah, and then we'll go down to Beverly area and up to southern New Hampshire.
Yeah, so like North Shore, New England. And he's transformed his business from a one-man operation to what it is today with a small but powerful team and building projects like a 5,000 square foot custom ICF home in your first year. I saw that you put on your questionnaire.
that was a kind of, it came to us on a whim, and we took full advantage of it. And I thought the guy was out of his mind when he when he brought me a paper napkin sketch and said, we want to build this house with 2 master bedrooms, and we want it to be net zero. And I had no idea what net zero was at the time.
Okay.
So it was pretty
big project. We'll get into that in a second. And then also a really cool historic barn remodel that has some modern tech in it. We'll get to a little bit about that. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. This long journey you took from right above us.
Yeah, it took me about 100 paces.
Yeah. BLB is also BLB is also in the same building as I am. But tell us about BLB. We got into it a little bit. So you guys are a residential remodel builder. Like, how would you describe it to someone who's not from around here?
Yeah, we're a residential remodeling company, full service. So we do design build. So what that means is we basically will take your project from concept to completion. We have an in-house designer that basically helps with all of the renderings, the floor plans, also interior finishes. Will help you pick out everything from your toilet to your wall finishes if you want to do something special, coffered ceilings, whatever it may be. Really, every job is different. Every job is unique. So we really specialize in kind of catering to whatever our clients want.
So you do a lot of kind of high-end remodels in Newburyport.
Yeah, we really just want to find the right fit, the right customers, like is our goal. So it's not necessarily that we kind of gravitate towards the higher end projects, but we're not too proud to take on a bathroom remodel. Yeah, as long as it's the right fit and the right client.
We've worked together on some projects, and it probably, I guess, makes sense for you to bring me on to document some of the better ones. So that's why in my mind it's like, but yeah, I have seen you guys do things from like railings to whatever.
Yeah, I like the one-off jobs that are like, we did a custom project for a longtime client in Newburyport, and which we recorded on, I think it was like earlier this year, or last year. And basically she wanted to do some kind of custom roses and metal work, and basically it was a really small job for us, but we took it on because I like the challenge and I like doing things that are interesting and different. So
yeah, that was a really cool, tight little space with some cool iron work. But what kind of inspired you? So tell me the story of BLB. So 12 plus years ago, how did you decide to start this?
It's a long story, but I'll give you the shortened Cliff Notes version of it. Basically, I grew up in remodeling because my dad's a contractor, my uncle's a contractor, so I really couldn't escape it as much as I had tried initially. I was like, I'm not going to do, I didn't want to do the physical aspect of it to start. So I went the college route, went to University of Rhode Island, studied psychology because I found it interesting. Glad that I did that. I still use my psychology degree every day with my clients and my employees. So
yeah, that's a unique mix. I don't know many builders who are also psychology.
Yeah, I mean, I just got my BA, so it was, I didn't go get my master's, but still. It helps every day with dealing with people in general. So after I got out of college, I went to work for my dad, who had been in business for 30 plus years at that point, and basically he threw me on a job in North Andover, and I remember it. He was like in Puerto Rico for the whole winter, and it was me and this my mentor Wayne, who was a carpenter, master carpenter, and basically these people, husband wife team, both lawyers, really tough, and we ripped the 3rd floor off their house in the middle of winter with their kids and their animals, everyone living in the house.
Still living there, wow.
Yeah, and they made me, I basically had to manage the whole job by myself, which was kind of a crash course in project management and dealing with people. Wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't do that to any of my own employees, but at the time, it definitely it taught me a lot about how to manage people. And from there, I worked for my dad for probably about 4 or 5 years, and then decided I had a client that was an entrepreneur, and he lived in Newbury, actually right next door to the home I grew up in. And he kind of pushed me to like start my own business. So he kind of lured me in and was like, hey, I have a MacBook Pro that I'll clear off for you, and I have $5,000, and I have like about 6 months worth of work, which in reality had about 2 years worth of work for me. But basically I ended up working for him, and I told my dad, listen, I'm going to start my own business. And he was like, good luck. So I commandeered his van at the time. So I took a Henry C. Becker van, and I had one helper.
Crossed out Henry and put Ben.
Yeah. I put a little magnet over it, covered it up, and then basically that's how it all started. And it was me and no one on the books. I had no paid employees at the time. It was just all, subcontractors, and I didn't know how to charge. I didn't know how to run a business. I had no idea about any of that, the financials or anything.
That's pretty typical, I think. Even on like marketing or video production and building, apparently, like that's one of the hardest things to figure out is how to price stuff. And I don't think you really get it until you just do it. And you charge too little or too much, and you figure out like
it's a trial and error game. But I've learned a lot through my affiliations with like Pro New England, which is the Professional Remodelers Association of New England, and Remodelers Advantage is another organization that we were part of for about 3 years. And just learning from other people's mistakes is a way to save a lot of time and a lot of pain in going through the.
So it's kind of like a network of builders or people in the industry.
Both networks of builders. One of them, the RA, is a round tables type format when you meet with other builders who are in non-competing markets, and basically you share all of your information. You share your financials, you share business strategies and all that stuff, and that helped me grow and kind of accelerated our growth as a business. So
I bet. So you mentioned you had that huge ICF build, which I had to look up before. But that's like the insulated styrofoam kind of thing, right? Or like
it's called insulated. So ICF is short for insulated concrete forms.
Okay.
And so basically it's these foam Lego blocks, and there's a bunch of companies that make them. We use this company called Nudura, and they're basically it's 2 inches of foam on each side, Lego block with like a plastic web in between. You stack them, and then you brace them and fill them with concrete.
Okay.
So
and that's kind of the structure of it.
Yeah, that's the structure.
And that's a pretty big thing to get in the first year.
Yeah, it was incredible. This guy, it was actually through a referral through my mother, and she had someone in her building on Cedar Street who was like, I want to build this 5,000 square foot house. And I thought, I didn't think it would actually come to fruition, but it did. And then, that took about 1.5 years to build. And we were, started with everything from blasting the ledge with a company, Main Drilling and Blasting, which was something I'd never done before. So that was pretty interesting. And then, we finished it up, and the clients moved in, and kind of the rest is history.
So did that kind of propel you to like more big jobs, or like what was the trajectory like the first year? Did you like kind of work up in like job quality or?
Yes. So the progression is I didn't know what to charge. So I was like, I'm going to do cost plus, and which means for those that don't know, cost plus is basically you charge whatever the project costs plus your markup. And at the time I thought 10% was a reasonable fee, right? I'm like $1 million, I'll make $100,000. But little did I realize that all the other costs that went into running a business.
Right. Yeah.
So $100,000 really didn't take me far at all for 1.5 years of labor. So I went back to our organizations that I rely on to try to figure out, okay, how do I need to like move forward, and how do I keep our revenue up and actually make a net profit that's going to be worth the, all the work that I'm putting into it. So that's why I joined RA. That's why I joined Pro New England, is to try to learn that, and then realized quickly that 10% wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
So I got to go back and rework my numbers and learn how to sell. So I took sales training through Sandler, and just kind of propelled myself forward that way.
What would you give? What advice would you give to someone trying to start a building contracting company, whether it's going to be as big as and as reputable as yours, or they just want to like do decks or something? What piece of advice would you give someone trying to start out?
I would say the biggest thing is to constantly be learning and have a growth mindset. I think that my biggest asset is just that I always want to learn and always want to grow, and I don't want to And I also like to hear, both sides of a story. I try to put myself in other people's shoes, whether that be a client who's like, oh, this is too expensive. I'm trying to see it from their perspective and see, okay, well, maybe it is too expensive for them, but how can I value engineer a project so that it's we actually sign a contract? And so I guess my piece of advice would be to just have that growth mindset and always want to be learning and and then also signing up for affiliating yourself with other pros that are able to kind of shorten that learning curve.
Right. That's like a different kind of networking. It's networking, but it's not networking that's going to like get you leads, like, I don't know, BNI or something that's intended to like
Correct.
drive leads in the door. But it's like I almost think it's probably more valuable because someone else just had a podcast in here and their takeaway was your network is your net worth.
Right.
Which I think applies to what you're talking about.
Right.
Not to steal that from Frank, but
yeah, you're not getting direct leads from it.
But it helps probably even more because it helps you grow, right?
Yeah, it helps you grow and it helps you. You're learning from other people's mistakes, which is always beneficial in this industry. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I've never really thought about that aspect of networking. Just as far as like the past guests, we've always talked about networking, like BNI and stuff like that. So that's a good, unique angle of networking.
Yeah.
So let's transition to the team building. So you started by yourself, and I'm assuming you've made hires. I don't know how big your team is now, but I would. It's like 20 or less. Talk about your team and how you grew it.
Yeah, we have 17 people now on staff. So about 10 of those are in the field, meaning that they're carpenters, and so we have lead carpenters, and we have apprentice carpenters, and we have and basically that's kind of the mix in the field. And then in the office, we have an office manager, we have a bookkeeper, we have 2 project managers, a marketing manager, and a designer and a salesperson. So
did you start off with, what was like your first hire? Was there like a pivotal point where you're like, all right, I need to grow the team a little more?
Yeah. So the first hire was the most critical hire. And I would say I learned early on that you want to delegate or find people to do the jobs that you're the worst at or that you hate the most.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I found someone, I tried doing QuickBooks. I'm like, this is not going to be, this is not something that I'm going to want to do long term. So I found someone quickly, interviewed for 4 people for an office manager position. And I found Melissa, who's still with me today, and she's helped our company grow substantially over the last 8 years. And same thing with her. She has a growth mindset. She's constantly learning new things. I mean, she does everything from the lead intake. When clients call, she'll basically go through the whole lead intake form. She will do product selections. She'll do purchasing. She'll do project closeouts, autopsies. She does all the financial stuff. So she's pretty critical to our success.
And then it grew from there to project managers, marketing managers. What was the order that you took in hiring the rest of your, like the business staff?
So then it was mostly field staff because I'm like, we need guys to get the work done. And I'd say over the last 3 or 4 years, we really grew the office staff because we needed that kind of back end support to help our carpenters in the field and to develop the projects because we want to basically try to pick everything out before we even start the job. So like tile selections, plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, all that stuff we try to hash out from the start. And what that does is it allows the project to move forward and seamlessly and not have let's wait, let's hurry up and stop. So it's just really helpful with kind of pushing things along.
Is there one milestone from when you started to today that stands out as like, I don't know, a fork in the road or something that kind of just like pushed you further? It sounds like maybe hiring the office manager was a big step, but is there anything else that you remember in the journey that's like, wow, this is a really cool moment?
A pivotal point.
Yeah.
I would just say, like I said, joining RA was really crucial. So basically there's this called Remodelers Advantage, and we had roundtables groups, and we'd go every 6 months. We'd go somewhere else, somewhere around the country. We'd meet, and there'd be, I think, 10 people in the group, and they were all from all remodeling companies, and we just share our ideas and share our financials, and just really go through how to improve our businesses. And we'd be critical of each other. It's not just we're not just patting each other on the back.
Right.
We're kind of getting into the weeds on the stuff that we could do better and holding people accountable. And I think having that level of accountability to someone that's not in your competing market is really beneficial.
Yeah, that's huge. That's valuable. When I started my business, we had across the U.S. a bunch of people who were trying to quit their 9 to 5 and start a marketing video production company, and we all kind of same thing. No, that idea sucks, or that's great. And there are a few of us, like 3 of us, who have almost the same business in like different in Ohio, Florida, Massachusetts.
And do you still meet?
Yeah, I'm meeting them in San Diego in a few weeks at a conference.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
so that's
it's the highlight of my year.
Yeah,
year.
so you're already doing what I'm recommending, but I think that's beneficial for any business. It doesn't matter if you're Pilates studio or you're doing marketing or construction like I am.
Yeah, it gets lonely doing your own thing, and I mean you have a small team, but still, like just trying to figure stuff out on your own is hard.
Yeah. And the venting portion of it, I think, is helpful, right? Because you can talk about the frustrations and how you overcome them. So,
what's one of the biggest challenges in growing to where you are today? Would you say?
I would say the personnel portion of it is finding the right people to put in the right seats, and the biggest part of that was when we implemented this format called EOS. It's the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And so about 3.5 years ago, I was introduced to it by my mentor, Eric Adams of Adams and Beasley. And he uses it in his company. And basically it's a format for running meetings. And you basically create 90-day, what they're called rocks, but they're goals. So there's like a leadership team, you're creating these rocks, and then every quarter you're meeting and you're seeing like, okay, I completed these rocks or I did not. And basically it's just a way of pushing the business forward and trying to improve on all our systems.
It's like having a guiding light of a goal.
Yes.
And that's interesting. EOS, okay. And who do you meet with? The mentor or just your team?
So we had an implementer before who was out of Westboro. His name is Peter Martino. He's amazing. Highly recommend him for any small business. And what was great is that we didn't have to pay for it because we had this workforce training grant. That I don't know if people know about that, but there's basically it used to be 30,000, now it's down to 15. But basically, you can apply for this express workforce training grant, and the state will give you up to now it's $15,000 per year to train your workforce.
Wow!
And so that was covered under it, which was great.
Cool. And you still use that today? That method?
Yeah, we do. So we stopped using the trainer. Peter kind of like his job is to get us set up and kind of like and then we're basically supposed to run the L10 and the quarterlies and stuff by ourselves, which we just started doing.
Interesting. So any business can kind of put this method into place, but probably helps to have a guidance.
Yeah, it's for small businesses really, and just having a leadership team and people that really care. So like the other part of that is that we had to create core values, which were at first I was like coming from the construction side of things. I was like, what are core values? Why don't you do this? This is
we build
corporate
shit.
America. We build stuff. Like what's the point of this? But little did I know that is so crucial to like figuring out like your vision and how you're gonna kind of run the business, and also how you're gonna retain your employees. Because like we basically hire, fire, and review people based off of those core values. So if they either meet them or they don't, and there's little room for gray areas. So if someone doesn't check half the boxes or 2/3 of the boxes, then we're like, are they a good fit? We kind of have to reevaluate them.
Right. That's probably super important to have that system in place when you have an actual team, especially.
It is. Yeah. And I'd say the biggest core value of ours is caring. Like we want people to care and not just be working for a paycheck, right? Like, because anyone can do that, but if they really have their heart into it and care about our clients, that's when they get rewarded for that.
Right. All right. Before we get to the marketing deep dive, let's talk about a project or two. The barn one seems like something. I mean, I've worked with you on taking some videos of it, so I'm a little familiar with it. But is that kind of like what's a standout project? Is that one of them, or is there something even cooler I don't know about? Talk to me about a. Cool...
Yeah, I mean that one's really unique because it's kind of similar to the ICF build in that we're doing. It's basically going to be there's no fossil fuels, there's no gas going to it. It's all electric. We have to get a HERS rater in, so it's going to be The building envelope is going to be extremely tight. So we have to bring in makeup air through an HRV, which is basically brings in fresh air. But what's unique about it is that it's not even a home. It's a secondary accessory building, essentially.
An ADU.
An ADU, but yeah, no one's going to be living in it. But it's essentially a man cave with a golf simulator, doing a golf simulator and a full kitchen, a wet bar, doing kegerators. And then upstairs is going to be like a game room with a gym in the back. But what's really unique about it is that we removed a timber frame that was there for probably 200 years, 200-year-old timber frame.
Wow.
About 90% of it was just toast, so it had no structural integrity left. But Newburyport, being wanting to preserve all the barns that it has left, which aren't many, they made us try to salvage as much as we possibly could. So we deconstructed the whole thing, salvaged and marked all the timbers that we could save. And then we hired a timber framer who was kind of specialized in these type of projects from New Hampshire. He came down, he basically used whatever timbers from the original barn that he could, and then used new timbers and kind of weaved them in, prefabricated in a shop up in New Hampshire, came down, and within a week and a half, the timber frame was up, and then we started doing, we wrapped it with SIPS panels, which are structural insulated panels. So it's basically like 2 sheets of OSB with foam in between. And so all these panels come in, they're on a big flatbed, and we crane them in, and that took about a week. So the whole structure went up in about 2 to 3 weeks. It was pretty. So
it's going to look much. It's going to be much more solid, I guess.
Yes, yeah. And then the whole idea of the SIPS panels is so that you can see. You want to see the timber frame because that has the character.
On the inside?
On the inside,
okay.
Yeah. On the outside, it's going to look like any other house, but on the inside, you're going to have that character of the barn.
Nice. Is there another project over the last 5-10 years that really just stands out as a favorite? Like either how you got it or like what it meant to the homeowners or anything like that?
I mean, going back to the person that helped me start my career, which his name was Chris, and he was out of Newbury. That job was really fun because he wanted to build like a cedar pool house that was basically like a whole separate house. It had a sauna in it, had it had all cedar cabinetry, it had a kitchenette, bathroom, all that stuff, heated floors. And that project was really special to me because it was just a one-off, like really unique project where he wanted the whole exterior to be all red cedar, and it just turned out gorgeous. The whole design of it was gorgeous. And so that was a really fun project. And then, but more recently, we've done some really like incredible kitchens where the homeowners actually have a lot of input into the design of the kitchen, and they have the vision, and then we bring it to reality.
To life,
yeah, and we'll help them with the product selections and all that stuff, but they have Pinterest pictures and ideas in their mind of what they want, and then we make it happen.
Give them all the options, help design it.
Yeah.
All right, let's change a little bit to marketing. You mentioned the in-house marketing manager on social and some like project showcases and blogs. How has that really helped just elevate your marketing, your brand awareness, lead generation?
Yeah, so when we started, my wife actually had helped me with a lot of the marketing. So she was my marketing manager, whether she wanted to or not. She was good at it, so she really helped me grow in that department. And then I think soon after that, we realized that when she needed to check out because she was running her own business, so that we needed to find someone who could handle the marketing in-house. And we didn't want to really sub it out or find there's plenty of companies out there that will do marketing for you, and you pay them and they come up with kind of more generic content.
Generic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but we wanted like a curated experience for our clientele and for the people that are subscribed to our newsletter. So that's what we did in hiring. We put out an ad on Indeed and a few other sites, and we ended up interviewing about half dozen people, and we found Corinne, who's amazing, and she's not full-time just because that role doesn't really require it, but she does an amazing job with the newsletters, and she helps with all the project photography, which, as you know, like photographing a project is like paramount to making it, to really advertising and putting it out there.
Right.
So that's kind of what we've found, that having it in-house is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah. And I think it's a common theme with all the people I've interviewed on this podcast is that humanized personal marketing is really what works. Like 5-10 years ago, you used to be able to just flood it with quantity of just graphics or like tips, and that stuff really isn't received anymore.
It's not really cutting it. And so obviously working with you and doing the video series for different projects like the barn has been great, because we kind of get to give people an inside glimpse of what's happening, and it's not just oh, look, this is what it was, here's what it is now after it's finished. It's you're getting to see it along the way.
And you appear on some of those videos. So have you noticed the difference, like with you and the people behind? Like we've had some with Josh, I think, as a on camera. So like, has there been a difference? Have you think those have been well received?
I think they've been really well received, and honestly, our guys love. Like some of them love being on camera and talking about the projects, because they're really proud of it, and they, like I said, they care about their projects, and so I think it gives them a chance to showcase their work and talk about the difficulties of challenges that they experienced when building it. But yeah, I think it's been helpful for them and for us for marketing purposes. So.
Yeah, and probably lets leads kind of get to know who's behind the scenes and who they might be dealing with. And
yes, exactly. Yep, it kind of puts a face to the company, or another face to the company besides my own, and it kind of humanizes it. So.
Builds trust. Let them know what you're like. Are there some things that maybe you've tried that haven't worked? It sounds like you have a good mix of like email and newsletters and social media. Are there any other campaigns or avenues you've tried that haven't worked? Or
I mean, so the print marketing, I feel like is just. We still advertise with North Shore, and it's been great because we love the relationship with them. But print advertising in general, I just feel like is there's no or minimal ROI. It's just strictly brand awareness, and there's no measurable ROI for that.
Right.
So,
where do most of your leads come from?
So I mean, lately in the past year or two, there's been a lot of Instagram followers and such. A lot of it's word of mouth. I'd probably say 30% of it's word of mouth. Existing customers who come back for more projects is probably 15 to 20%. We have a lot of repeat clients, and the rest of them are probably just brand, like our job site signs. People see our van, and they see us somewhere else, and usually they'll see us in a few different locations, and then they'll be like, oh, now I'll call.
Right. You're top of mind, just from seeing you everywhere.
Top of mind, yeah. And the job signs, I think, we did them really tastefully, and we spent a good amount of money on each sign.
They look nice. I've seen them around town.
Yeah, they stand out. So
So it's like mostly or pretty much all organic. It sounds like. Do you do any paid media besides like the print?
We don't do like Google ads or anything like that. But obviously we pay you for the videos, and we pay for. We pay Corinne for her work,
but you don't have to pay. You're not doing any paid advertising on TV or social media or anything.
No, we don't have any billboards, or we're not on the NPR or anything like that. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, the organic market is obviously cheaper.
It is. It's cheaper, and it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be open to the paid advertising. I just don't know if that would. I don't know how long we'd have to run it in order to actually see a result.
I mean, What you mentioned lead quality being something you're kind of trying to figure out. Talk to me about that. Do you get like a big percentage of leads that are maybe not the right fit, or like is there a struggle there or a challenge?
Yeah. So the lead, I wouldn't say lead quality, but like the type of clients that are calling and stuff, I feel like some of them look at our website and are like, oh, this is the kind of contractor I'm looking for. They handle the design, they can do the building. It's more high end. And then others just don't look at the website, and they'll just call blindly. And then, but that's why Melissa comes in. She does that. We have a lead intake form, and she can tell within 10 to 15 minutes if they're going to be a good fit. Yeah. And if they are, then we'll go out and we'll meet them in person. And if not, we'll usually either refer them to someone else locally that may be a better fit, or not.
Yeah. is there anything that you think you could do to help qualify those leads? I guess they just need to look at your website more, right?
Yeah, I'd like to get more leads. I think that if we could get, it's a numbers game, right? So if we're bringing in, like right now, we're probably only have like three to five a week. If we could bring in more, I think that we would, obviously more of them would be qualified and we'd have more turnover into projects.
And maybe some Google ads would help there, because those are people who know what they're looking for, as opposed to social media. It's kind of like they don't necessarily aren't searching for it yet.
Yeah, they'd be more targeted.
It's more of like a phishing game.
Yeah.
Compared to Google.
Right, and we've talked about doing the targeted, the pay-per-click type ads. But at the moment, we're just doing it organically. So,
do you guys? We didn't talk about Google, like business profile, like local Google stuff. Do you do much of that right now?
Local Google stuff.
Like posting to Google business profile. Not a lot of people do. It's kind of like a hidden little.
No,
thing.
I don't think we're taking advantage of that. We are trying to get more Google reviews.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have, I think, about 15 right now, which over the course of 12
We've done
years
more than 15 builds.
Right.
Yeah.
We do about 20 projects a year, so 15 reviews over 12 years is not really where we want to be at. So trying to get more reviews from our clients is.
Do you have a process in place for that yet, or something you're kind of figuring out now?
It's really just repetition, like asking them from after the first client meeting, and then all the way through, just being like, hey, if we do a good job at the end of this project, like, we're going to ask you for a review. Is that okay?
Right, yeah.
And like asking them their permission. And, usually they'll say yes, but as long as you've kind of, I guess, led them to along the way and not just asked right at the end. And obviously if the project, if things go wrong at the end, like the painter, doesn't do a great job or something like that, then we're having a different conversation. Maybe we're not asking for a review, to be honest.
Yeah. Good. All right. Good to know. So let's just quickly kind of end it with future focus. So what do you see your business in like 5 years, taking on different kinds of, like, do you have a goal for kinds of projects, growing the team? Yeah. So we're pretty comfortable where we are, but we would like to grow in that, just in our volume, our sheer volume of work right now. So I would say where we want to be is we want to stay in our lane, in our niche, which is remodeling. And if anything, we want to just kind of market to the more high-end clientele that want to do full home remodels, additions, that type of project. It's really honing in on the ideal work.
Right. Not so much the new builds. We're not really. That's not really our target. So
okay. So just getting more qualified and ideal types of work, basically.
Yeah, and more better clientele and just ones that are the right fit for us.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to a homeowner looking to get a builder? Like, do your research
your research. Yeah, make sure you're looking, like, go onto Pro New England and look at the directory. There's all these builders in the greater Boston area that are on there, and they can't get into the organization if they're not qualified, if they're not CSLs, if they don't have their RRP, which is the lead certification. You need to have all these things, especially in Massachusetts. There's so many old homes. I think it's pre-1976 or 78. All those homes have lead in them. So if you're not a licensed RRP contractor and you're working on homes like that, and there's children or even adults living there while it's under construction, they're at risk of getting lead poisoning. And that is a serious issue that we take very seriously.
What's the advantage of having a build company or builder that understands both the design and the build part of it?
That's a great question. So the design portion of it is so critical because we're able to design to people's budget. So a lot of times an architect or designer will come in and be like, tell me everything you want. I'll give you, I want a bathroom, I want a kitchen, I want this, I want that. They do the design, the client's paid for the design, they put it out to bid to 3 contractors, they come back and they realize, wow, this is way more than we want to spend. We need to cut this in half. So then they're paying the designer again to go back and redo the design, cut things back. By the end of it, then they put it out to bid again. So it's basically, there's so much time wasted in that process. Whereas if we can have an open dialogue about what things cost from the start, we can kind of really shorten that timeline, save them time, save them money in the design process and the construction process, by kind of value engineering it to fit their budget. And some people, again, aren't willing to share that information, and that's kind of when we figured that they're not probably a good fit.
Yeah, so it's like a one-stop shop, for lack of a better word, where you can kind of guide them through the entire process.
Yeah, it's single source accountability. We want to be responsible for everything. We want to be responsible for the design. If we design it, we own it.
Right.
If somebody else designs it and we're missing critical details, and then it's like it becomes a blame game or finger pointing. Like, no, well, you didn't include that. Well, you didn't have that in your quote. And it's like, well, you didn't draw it or specify anything. And then the homeowner's kind of stuck in the middle.
Right.
And it's a really uncomfortable situation. I've been there, and that's kind of why we went the design build route, to avoid that.
At the end of the day, if something looks bad, they're going to be like, oh, my builder's at fault, even though if you're not. So
right.
I guess having control of everything is just more ideal.
Yep. It's better for the client. They don't get stuck in the middle. It's better for us. We have control over the project, and ultimately it just ends with a better result, and people are more likely to give us better reviews because of that. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so what's the best place to reach out? Your Instagram, website? Probably the website sounds like is the best. How should they reach out to you if they're looking to get a
there's
quote?
a form on our website, so it's blbdesignbuild.com is the website, and or people can email me directly, ben@blbdesignbuild.com. So our office is in Amesbury. We have a little selection showroom. We have a nice conference room. So if anybody just wants to pop by too, that works as well.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Hopefully it was fun.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a good time.
All right. So be sure to follow us. You can watch it on YouTube and Spotify, or listen to it on Apple and Spotify. And we will see you all next time.
Sounds good.